What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Panthers Advice. Today, man, we're going over some Bryce Young. Kind of hate from the media still, and I don't think he's in the praise he deserves. We're talking potentially Abdul Carter to the Panthers and how that could happen. And it's not as far-fetched as you might think. Panthers are looking at another running back and potentially trading up in the draft. A lot to get into, man. But let's talk about the media and Bryce Young real quick. All right, we got Mike Florio and Miles Simmons kind of discussing Bryce Young. It's complicated. All right, we're going to run the video. I'll explain as we go, man. Let's take a listen.
They helped us understand that it is possible to bench a young quarterback and not ruin him, and actually possibly make him better.
He's acting like the Panthers gave the blueprint, when in reality, Andy Dalton, he got hurt in that car crash. Everyone's okay, but then they threw Bryce in, and Dave has said in numerous interviews that he just gave Bryce a set number of plays, and Bryce went through those, and he just added more on and more on. Dave has never taken credit for basically helping Bryce Young overcome this, overcome this, overcome this. Dave benched Bryce Young, and then Bryce Young happened to start again. Some might say Dave was ready to move on. Let's keep it going.
As we begin to formulate our thoughts for 2025, you got to take them seriously in the NFC South. They were 4-5 in their last 9 games after starting the season 1-7. And some of those games they lost down the stretch, they gave good teams all they could handle.
I love what Mike says right there, right? The Panthers arguably should have beat the Chiefs, should have beat the Eagles too, right? And the dude that's about to talk, I'll let y'all listen. But I like what Mike said right there. I think the Panthers can seriously be contenders in the NFC South. I mean, the Bucs are probably the favorite, but the Saints, what are they going to do? In the Falcons, Michael's going to start. We'll see what happens there, but let's take a look at Miles Simmons real quick.
I mean, you say you have to be taken seriously in the NFC South. I mean, I have to be taken seriously among, third-tier NFL writers, too. So,
Man.
I don't know what what are we really saying there? I mean, they can be a contender in that division, probably. But also, I mean, you go back and you look at it, Bryce Young was playing some of the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Now that I won't argue with, right? Bryce Young definitely playing some of the worst, but something I don't think we can stress enough is there was a certain receiver who he was trying to force it to, right? So no matter what Dave drew up, Bryce Young was trying to force it to a certain receiver, but the media won't touch that. There's a reason that receiver was gone once Andy Dalton was fed up with them after the Bengals game.
Canales used to be a quarterback's coach. So there is some, I guess, institutional knowledge that Canales would have of, okay, this is how we have to train this guy in order to make sure he's going to be able to put his best foot forward and help us run the offense. That offense was not able to function. Andy Dalton comes in, the offense functions, Andy Dalton gets hurt in the car accident, Bryce Young comes in, and oh, by the way, now he can pilot the offense effectively. There is something to that.
You see, this is what I love when I catch people who don't actually watch, right? He said Bryce Young was playing some of the worst quarterback, but Andy Dalton came in and did his thing. All right, first game, a solid 319 yards, right? What about after that? 220. 136, 221, and 93. One game over 225 yards, but yet he was this high-flying quarterback, right? And in that span, what did the Panthers do? Let's take a look. They beat the Raiders, lost to the Bengals by 10, lost to Chicago by 26, lost to Atlanta by 18, and the Washington game, that was just all bad. And then he talks about when Bryce Young came back, he was a different guy. Dave Canales had something to do with that. No, like I just got done saying, Dave Canales has taken no credit for Bryce Young's comeback. He said that's all on Bryce Young. Trust me, we all thought Bryce Young was a goner at the end of the season. Personally, I was hoping he wasn't, but that's what a majority of the people thought. So, stop saying you're watching the Panthers games when you're not, because numbers don't lie. Let's keep it going, though. Now let's talk about, is it possible for the Panthers to get Abdul Carter? Let's look at the draft order. What would have to entail here? So what has to happen right here? You need Shador and Cam to go kind of in that 1 to 3 range. I think Will Campbell will go top 5 no matter what. Travis Hunter, again, top 5. For the Panthers to get Abdul Carter, right, if that's who they choose to get or they want, they need Shador Sanders to go in that top 8. Or I guess top 7 for the Panthers to draft at 8. Is this possible? I think there's a good chance, right, that your offensive tackle is going to go top 7, right? The two questions I have are Will Johnson and Ted McMillan, because Ted McMillan has had so much unfortunate negative press that he continues to slide. Shador Sanders continues to slide. Cam Ward staying in place. I think Will Johnson staying in place. Travis Hunter, obviously. It's just, if Ted McMillan and Shador Sanders both go top 5, top 6, there's a good chance the Panthers could get Abdul Carter. Now, it's going to be risky because, based on this, there's no edge rushers going top 7, which it's hard for me to believe, to be honest with you. But there is a chance. We just need something like this to kind of unfold. And then potentially, some teams trade up to get a certain somebody. Some teams trade down because their guy goes. Whether it's Shador, whether it's Travis Hunter, whoever it may be. It's not impossible for it to happen, but we would need the cards to unfold something like this. Let's keep this thing going. Next up, we're going to talk about the Panthers potentially trading with the Bears and what that would look like in a 7-round projection. All right. Round 1 to pick 10, like a lot of people think, Panthers go and get Jalen Walker. All right. You get your edge guy right there. Then you go get Donovan E. right here out of Boston College. Now, I like Donovan a lot. He's not your fastest guy, but he would be a good kind of backup replacement for Jadeveon Clowney. So you get Jalen Walker, you get Donovan. I don't know that would necessarily be my go-to to grab 2 edge guys, but I could see it potentially happening for the Panthers. All right, after that, you go defense, right? So now you go receivers, you go get Jaden Higgins. Now, let's talk about this real quick. The truth of the matter is, I did a video on this about a month ago. If you look at the playoffs, the top receivers aren't always an indication of a Super Bowl team. You got to build that front 7 first, right? So as much as we want a top receiver, we still have a lot of holes on defense, right? Yes, we got Trayvon Mulrig. Now we still need a free safety. Josie Jewell's getting kind of old. Trevin Wallace, he's still young. The Panthers are hoping for him to be probably a 2 to 3 year project, to be honest with you. So if the Panthers want to compete now, you got to build that defense. And you also have to realize, Dave, he said it time and time again. He wants to run a smash mouth offense. So it's run, pass. Run, pass. So to me, it feels like drafting something in that first round, potentially second round, a receiver, almost feels like a waste when it's run, pass, right? And the reason I say that, stay with me right here, the whole point of that run, pass is to get the defense to bite, is to bring the safety in the box and bang, you beat them over the top. Can David Moore and Adam Thielen beat guys on the outside? No. But I don't think we have to go first, second round to draft a receiver who can beat somebody on the outside when they bring the safety down. All right, let's keep the draft going. After that, they have the Panthers drafting a tackle right here at a William & Mary. Offensive line depth, obviously, never hurts. Kind of a rebuild for the future. Then you draft a DB. All right, Zy Alexander, defensive line. I like that right there. A linebacker, more O-line, and then another tight end, which I do think the Panthers will draft a tight end. I don't know where for sure, but I do see them drafting a tight end. All right, cornerbacks, I think we desperately need another one. Shaw Smith-Wade, I have hope, but I think if we go in a dime package, that 4th corner, I don't know where, right? So I don't hate this, all right? 2 edge guys, a receiver, linebacker, some depth at offensive line, all right, a tight end. We'll see what happens. Next up, let's talk about this right here. Panthers meet with Mr. Ohio State running back. Now, is there a chance the Panthers bring on Trayvon Henderson? Never say never, right? Never say never. So Trayvon Henderson stats for this right here, all right? 3,700 yards, 590 carries, all right? 6.4 yards per attempt, 42 rushing touchdowns, all right? 77 catches, 853 yards, and 6 touchdowns as a receiving running back. Is it possible that Panthers take another running back in the draft? It just depends on their faith of Jonathan Brooks, right? 2 torn ACLs now in, 2 years? it's not good. But you do bring in Rico Dowdle, all right, who's on a 1-year, $3 million contract, which is huge because the reason that's huge is if you look right here, all right, 590 carries. Take a look right here. 590 carries, 77 catches. So that's almost 700 times he got the ball, right? And that's just him carrying the ball. And that's not talking about drops. I'm talking about him being there blocking, right? That's just the amount of times he got the ball, almost 700. Rico has what? Less than 300, I want to say, give or take. 350 as an NFL running back. This is what Trayvon did in 4 years at Ohio State. Now, with that being said, Rico, I think he put up like 500 total, right, in college. So that right there shows you the amount of load they'll put on a running back in college, and then in the NFL, they want it to be in an offense like Dave Canales, right? So I think it's possible. It just depends, who's there, what do they already have so far. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I think Brooks has a lot of potential, but sometimes, man, if you're injury prone, you're injury prone. Let me know your thoughts. Do you want to see them get a running back, in that 5th, 6th, 7th round, tight end, receiver, DB? Let me know your thoughts. That's going to wrap it up. Panthers devices out. I think we have, 9 more days to the draft, depending on when you're watching this. It's almost here. Stay tuned, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy. Peace.